Nintendo recently filed a trademark for the old Game Boy. That's led to a lot of speculation about a potential upcoming Game Boy Classic Mini. The NES Classic Edition and the Super NES Classic Edition are huge successes for Nintendo, so it would make a lot of sense. Could it be? Is the Game Boy really coming back? Will it connect to the TV or be a portable? So many questions we can't answer right now, but we can give you 10 games that should definitely be on there. Get ready for 10 games we would want on the Game Boy Classic Mini. How many kids grew up playing Super Mario Land on the Game Boy? The entire 90s generation has fond memories of Super Mario Land, and it should definitely be included for that reason alone. However, it's also just a very fun platform game. Sure, it has a lot less features than the console versions. It's impossible to backtrack in a level, and the platforming can be very easy. Super Mario Land hasn't been ported to tons of platforms like other Mario games, so it would make a lot of sense to give this game some love on the Game Boy Classic Mini. It might seem too obvious, but you can't launch a new Game Boy without Tetris. This game that came with the original Game Boy is arguably a big reason for the success of the handheld. It's a brilliant and timeless puzzle game that's still fun to play today. There have been many versions of Tetris over the years, but we still prefer the black and white Game Boy original. This is also for a large part thanks to the music. The game only has 3 tracks, but they're all burnt into our memory. Gaming doesn't get more nostalgic than this. Every Nintendo console needs a good Zelda, and Nintendo definitely delivered with The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening. It's still amazing how legendary game designer Miyamoto managed to fit a fully featured Zelda game on the Game Boy. Link's Awakening gives you an epic and memorable adventure, which would not have felt out of place on a console. You need to collect 8 musical instruments that will awaken the sleeping wind fish. Yes, it's also one of the weirder Zeldas out there. Pokemon Red and Blue on the Game Boy are still the favorite Pokemon games of many gamers. Nintendo really delivered by giving us a surprisingly deep role-playing game back in the day. It's very addicting to catch all the Pokemon, make them stronger, let them evolve and develop a bond with them. The series has spawned nearly 20 follow-up games and countless spin-offs. But it all started with Pokemon Red and Blue on the Game Boy. What's most impressive about these games is that they hold up even 21 years later. Kirby had more than a few good games on the Game Boy, but we have to go with Kirbys Dreamland 2 on this one. The pink little blob started in a very impressive-looking platform game. It introduced Kirby's famous powers that were absent in the first Dreamland and gave us the animal friends Rick, Coo, and Kine to play with. You had to battle your way through 7 unique worlds until you finally faced off against the final boss. Along the way, you were treated to some of the best 2D levels the Game Boy ever saw. This is Kirby goodness at its finest. DuckTales is one of the best platform games on the NES, and the Game Boy version is pretty great too. This Capcom game has some very original gameplay thanks to the pogo stick mechanic of Scrooge McDuck. The levels are very well made and the soundtrack is still unbelievably good today. While the gameplay of the original NES release was largely unchanged, the portable version featured remixed stage layouts to better fit the smaller screen of the Game Boy. It also made us nostalgic for that awesome DuckTales TV show. Talking about good platforming games by Capcom, we need to mention Mega Man 5 in this video. This is the only original adventure the Blue Bomber got on the Game Boy. This game didn't recycle bosses from earlier NES games, but gave us all new enemies and a revamped universe. It also featured a new weapon called the Mega Arm and a robot sidekick called Tango. However, the Mega Man formula is completely intact and the gameplay is very difficult and addictive. Mega Man 5 was a breath of fresh air at the time and is still one of the more original games in the series. Metroid 2: Return of Samus recently got remade for the Nintendo 3DS. However, the original Game Boy game is also still worth playing. The moody atmosphere got translated pretty nicely, and the game has some impressive visuals for Game Boy standards. The gameplay is very addictive as you run around in a huge level picking up items and weapons that let you discover more areas. Nintendo already put Metroid on the NES Classic Edition and Super Metroid on the SNES Classic Edition, so we think it's a safe bet to say Metroid 2: Return of Samus will be an eventual Game Boy Classic Edition. The popularity of games like Stardew Valley and Farmville show that many gamers like micromanaging farms. This all started way back on the Game Boy with Harvest Moon. Having your portable farm with you at all times made for some very addicting gameplay. Feeding your livestock and growing crops has a relaxing quality to it. However, you do need to manage your time and energy efficiently if you want to turn your farm and love life into a success. But like all things in life, good things come to those who wait, as you reap what you sow. Wario Land Super Mario Land 3 is one of the best spin-off games of all time. Giving Wario the chance to star in his own game was a great move by Nintendo. The game looked absolutely amazing at the time, and the gameplay was very original. We especially like the wide variety of power-ups that give Wario some incredible moves. What other game lets you breathe fire and fly through the air? Since Wario is greedy, you need to collect as many coins as possible. This actually affects the ending of the game, which is pretty great. Those were our favorite games on the Game Boy. What games would you like to see on an eventual Game Boy Classic Mini? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel.